What's up? Good morning and happy Merry Christmas week to everyone. We actually have some very exciting things taking place right now in terms of ADA. We had something very important happen for BTC over the course of the weekend, and frankly, I'm very excited about what this week can do in terms of price. And there's a few things that I want to show you guys here that we haven't talked about in a little bit. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell again; it's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So you guys may have noticed, but I was a little bit quiet yesterday. I was watching football for most of the day. I was in my fantasy football semifinals. I won both of them, so I'm in the championship in two leagues. That's awesome. Hopefully, I win them both. But ADA price isn't really doing a whole lot. All right, we're chopping like we talked about over the last few days. And that's not a bad thing because what we're seeing right now is ADA trying to confirm its support. It's trying to show strength in the charts, which it is in fact doing. And you guys can see basically between this like 89 to 90 cent level is a spot ADA is currently comfortable in. And what we're sitting on right now is actually our 50-day moving average. So this is trying to serve as a focal point of support for ADA's next leg. And if you guys haven't noticed, we are actually printing a textbook bull flag, right? Testing the top, testing the bottom, testing the top, testing the bottom. And now we're trying to set up for a push towards the top of this trend. And that may be something that does in fact take place this week. Now, this isn't a guarantee, this isn't financial advice or anything like that, but we're seeing nice floors being built here in terms of ADA. And what you need to know too is it's actually mirroring what it did last year. If you guys take a look, you guys can see we did the same exact thing at the same exact point in the year. This could have been shorter, but obviously we got the sell off from the announcement of institutional money coming to crypto. We know that we dropped basically then from like January 10th, January 1st, all the way to like the 20th before we had our subsequent recovery. Do I think that happens right now? No, right? This isn't a gut feeling or anything like that. Now we're just kind of back on track with what we've done in cycles past. Now, there's no guarantee that we stay and do the exact same thing, but what I will say is that BTC did something very important over the weekend, and that is dump. Now, that might sound kind of strange, but when we look at what's happening in terms of BTC, we're obviously testing the bottom of our Bollinger Bands here, suggesting we may have a push back to the upside. We did test our 50-day moving average that bounced off of that as support. And why this is in fact so important is although BTC was dumping over the course of the weekend, alts were remaining resilient. They weren't really making big new pushes to the downside, right? BTC is now at basically a lower price than it was at almost any point during the prior week. Most alts are at least sideways. Okay. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, especially for BTC dominance, which we've been wanting to start dropping back down. We obviously tested our trend that's headed the right direction. So this is a very good thing. Now, why this is also important is that we don't have a CME gap. So for those who aren't familiar, obviously the BTC futures, there's an open and a close over the course of the weekend, and that can create basically this gap that, excuse me, that the charts do not like, and we tend to close. Now I'll get to this one in just a moment here, but we obviously had a little bit of a CME gap and a baby extension over the course of what was that? Was that last week? Yeah, early part of last week. And the market didn't like that. It went down and actually closed the CME gap. And what's important now is we do have a slight one actually to the upside. So we may actually close this over the course of the next day or two. But what institutional money is going to look at this as is an opportunity. They're going to look at this as a discount and likely do some buying this week. Now, obviously, nothing's for certain. We know that we had a little bit of a dump day on Friday. Maybe we get a slight baby dump today, but it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of hit full steam and start accumulating. Now, keep in mind, this is a short week in terms of institutional money. No institutional money on Wednesday, so we'll see obviously what happens in the early part versus the latter part of the week. But we're doing basically what we've always done. This CME gap here, guys, I know some people are going to have questions about this, probably not getting closed. And why I say that is two specific reasons. First of all, you don't always close every single CME gap, especially once you get into the early part of alt season. For example, take a look at this one right here from basically December 24th through December 28th. CME gap created, never closed. CME gap created right here as well. Middle of December, never closed. All right. So it looks like that's what we're kind of on the path to do right now is follow that similar trend. And why I'm also saying that it's very unlikely that we do that is if you guys remember our bull market support band for BTC is our 20-week moving average. And that has been very heavily on the rise. BTC never closes weekly candles below this 20-week moving average during a bull market cycle outside of black swan events. Now, we did this a couple times during the summer. We obviously had some black swan events that took place there, negative things that kind of cratered the market. But now, what do we really have that's negative? Not a whole lot. All right, barring any surprises, right? Hopefully no surprises as we continue through the week. But this now is all the way up to 81.5, meaning that closing that CME gap is almost a 0% chance. So again, the market may want to run to the upside. Now, something else that's very important in terms of ADA is the ADABTC chart. And in fact, what we can see is this has been following a very similar trend to what the price chart has been doing. It's kind of crazy how similar this is because it doesn't always work this way. But what we're seeing is actually, excuse me, a little bit of a decorrelation from BTC in terms of ADA, which is an exciting thing. And we know that this really hits in a much bigger way the deeper we get into the market cycle. Once we get into alt season, once retail is excited and starts flowing to altcoins, that's going to make the ADA charts and many other alts do some very significant moves. But what is actually very important that's been playing out in terms of this ADABTC chart is we have actually been forming this gigantic descending broadening wedge. All right. Now, why this is important is this is a very bullish formation, and the target that you have to the upside is actually the height of the bottom to the top of this trend. All right. Now, it's a question of obviously where do you measure this from, either here or here, right? Well, let's just move, whatever. Anyways, so that means that once we do, in fact, get the breach out of the top of this trend, we're getting a nice retest right now, but, maybe over the course of the next few weeks here, we decide to try to take a stab back at the top of this, that is when our target for this is actually going to be somewhere up towards that 5,500 sat range. All right. Now, this isn't a guarantee. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But again, this is very close to that 6,000 sat top that we had back here. I'm not saying this is where it stops, but this is just where the target out of this formation tends to be. And for example, let's say BTC is at, let's say 125K at that point, then you're talking about $7.25 ADA. All right. That's where the math kind of comes into line. This is how we follow what we've done in market cycles past. It's all playing out perfectly, to be honest with you guys. So do I expect a drop over the next few days? No, but again, nobody knows what to expect over the holidays. The holidays are kind of weird. This was kind of our profit taking, our people buying Christmas gifts, our cutting through obviously a bunch of long leverage. And now we're starting to form the floor for the next leg. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts on whether you think we're going to get it this week. It's looking really good right now. I think by midweek, we'll have an idea of where the rest of the week is going to head and if we're going to hit January full steam ahead. So I appreciate you guys as always. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Share your support below. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.